Hello and good evening, Chicago. Welcome on in to another episode of Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. A weird weekend from a sports perspective. We were able to take in football without any Bears. That's the first of two Sundays in a row where we won't have a Bears game to watch. We can watch other NFL games, or we can go do other activities. I know for myself in our house yesterday, I saw all of 3 plays of football yesterday. It was kind of nice, but at the same time, there's no bye week for the Bears, even though it feels like it. We've still got a game to break down and dissect. I guess if we have to, that Thursday game was ugh. We'll get into that a little bit. And then, of course, a week from tonight, Monday night in New England. So we will, of course, kick off things with some Bears talk. But then the Bulls tip off their season later this week. We are 2 nights away from the Chicago Bulls starting their season. So we will have some Bulls talk throughout the show tonight. What are they going to do without Lonzo Ball? Will DeMar DeRozan have as successful an encore as he had a debut last year? How's Ayo Dosunmu going to look starting at the point guard? All kinds of other things as we tip off the Bulls season. The Blackhawks started last week, and then also the Illini keep moving up in the polls, so lots to be discussing tonight. This is Chi-Town Weekly. Everybody, buckle up. Let's have some fun. Once again, hello and good evening, everyone. I am your host, Adam Kernick, here on Chi-Town Weekly. So excited to be with you for yet another episode 108. I cannot believe that we have made it this far into the show. It is kind of crazy that we've made it this far. Tons of fun. I have enjoyed every moment of it. This has been a ton of fun to get started, and we're gonna bust in here a little bit, do the reads, because even though we've got lots and lots of sports to break down and dissect, I do have an announcement that I want to get to. So it's of a non-sports nature. So we'll kick things off. We'll get our homework out of the way, if you will. We do need to start things off with our read. Of course, IE Sports Radio. We have been around now for the last 8.5 years, continuing to bring you amazing content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and with your help, we are ready to take the next step. When you go to our website, iesportsradio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers, the first starting at just $5 a month. This donation gets you a shout-out on every one of our shows. There are Patreon supporters right now. Shout them out. Bay Area Raised, Emlos Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. And I'll shout out our Patreon supporters again: Bay Area Raised, Emlos Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. Thank you guys very much for your support. And this show you can follow along on Twitter at IESRC. I am at Adam_Karnick. The network is available for you on all the major social platforms at IE Sports Radio. That'll work for Twitter, for Facebook, for Instagram, for TikTok. At IE Sports Radio finds everything for you there. And if you are listening live here on this Monday evening, hop on into the chat room. It's filling up in there. We've got Taryn, who just got done with Set Point. He went ahead of us tonight. We've got Arthur Parsons in there. Angela's in here. Mike is here. Hop on in, join on into the chat, or if you're listening later on in the week as a podcast, whether it's on Spotify or iHeartRadio or wherever you find us, or you just want to sit back and listen, thank you for making me part of your week. I really do appreciate it. So I was letting everybody in the IE Sports Radio chat, in our little network chat, know for the last couple days that I had a big announcement coming before tonight's show. Very exciting. It's not sports-related news at all, but it's exciting news for myself nonetheless. March is always a very busy time in the sports world. You've got, of course, the NBA and the NHL pick up steam and start heading into the playoff race, and then college basketball is getting into tournament time. You've got all the conference tournaments happening at the beginning of March. We then get into the middle and end of March, and it's the big dance. It is the gigantic tournament of all tournaments, March Madness, the men's and women's. Tons of fun, tons of excitement. We're going to be having our own unique version of March Madness this year, because Karnik Baby number 2 is going to be making its arrival in March of 2023. We were very excited, my wife and I, to find out, actually on our anniversary, that we were expecting child number 2. So we are going to be having our own crazy version of March Madness this year. It's going to, I'm not sure how much basketball I'll be able to take in then. Probably, ironically enough, probably some more of the West Coast games, of anything, because I'm sure I will be up late, just dreary-eyed and doing anything I can to stay awake. So that is the big announcement for the day. My daughter we finally kind of explained it to her. Our daughter is a little over 4. And at first we couldn't, Mike saying in the chat room, congratulations. And then also he was going to call it in the chat room, but didn't want to be that guy. Well, Mike, I had a feeling you'd probably figure it out, because if I remember correctly, you've got number 2 coming here in about 2 months. Am I right, Mike? So my daughter is a little over 4, and while we didn't hide it from her from the gate, we didn't exactly tell her right away either. We basically just talked over her head about expecting a little one, because we knew as soon as we laid it out and explained it to her that it would be. She would be telling everybody. She would be telling absolutely everybody. Well, we finally, really in earnest, the last couple of weeks, started letting her know that, hey, you're going to be an older sister. There's going to be a baby coming here in a few months. There's going to be some changes. They're going to be great changes, but there's going to be changes coming. Well, ever since then, she's getting real excited and right into it. While she doesn't necessarily play with baby dolls, all of her stuffed animals now she's starting to care for as if they were babies. She's starting to tuck them in and feed them and do more things like that with them. So she's getting herself prepared. Well, at this point, we don't know yet. And to answer Mike's other question, we do not know yet if we're having a boy or a girl. If you ask my daughter, though, we're having a girl. There is no other option. When we ask her the question, do you think the baby's going to be a boy or a girl? Oh, it's going to be a girl. Well, what if it's a boy? But Daddy, it's going to be a girl. So my daughter is convinced that we're going to have another girl. My wife is hoping against hope for another girl, if for no other reason than we already have so many things already in place, so many hand-me-down clothes and other things like that that'll work for having a girl. My sister is just team, I want it to be healthy. I don't care if it's going to be a boy or a girl. So I'm the one that is kind of trying to push into and will into existence that maybe we'll have a boy, just if for no other reason, so that I maintain a little bit more of my sanity. Of course, I say that now, and who knows, but Angela, yeah, my daughter had me wrapped around her little finger from the moment she was born. So yeah, it is being a girl dad is eye-opening in a lot of ways, and it's going to continue to be eye-opening in a lot of ways over the next X number of years. You know, it was something else that kind of dawned on me in the waning moments right before my daughter was born. Then it's, hey, you are now becoming a parent forever. You don't stop becoming a parent. Even when they, turn 18 and they're technically adults, you're still a parent. But yeah, she had me wrapped around her finger from the moment she was born. So yeah, it being a girl dad is something, but I'm kind of hoping for a boy. We're going to, okay. There, my mom chiming in that she's also hoping for a boy. Well, my mom also, was team girl for forever. So I guess now that she got that, I guess she wants one of each, I guess. So, but you ask my daughter, and it's just, there's no other options. What is this silliness that you would suggest that it could be anything other than a girl? We're going to be having a girl. So that is the excitement and the big announcement that I wanted to make to start the episode. So especially for those of you who were tuning in, who were postponing your Monday Night Football viewing specifically for that, you are now free to return to Monday Night Football. Of course, I'd love it if you stay. A buddy of mine who's a Broncos fan actually texted into our group chat. I was also telling them, sign into the beginning. I know you've got your Broncos to watch tonight, but if you can, sign into the beginning of the episode. And he goes, dude, it's the Broncos. It's going to be a miserable game. Just tune in for the whole show. So take that for what it is. I do believe USRN has the call if you are needing a feed for if your television is down or your ESPN feed is out. I do believe that Seth Eves is on the call tonight over on USRN for the Monday Night Football game. So when we're done here, go on over and check that out. But lots of excitement and craziness coming in our house here for the next few weeks. As we get into March, we'll figure everything out for the shows and figure out how they'll keep running and operating. But as of now, we have to just play everything by ear because babies come and when babies want to come. And so while the due date is March 20, the way the calendar falls and everything works out, it literally every day in the month of March could be possible. So we'll be on our toes as we, thank you, Taryn. USRN does not have the call tonight for Broncos Chargers. So just sit tight here. Then we'll keep you moving and keep you updated on everything. So, but I had to start everything off with that fun news to get everything going. So lots of fun and excitement in our house, and we start off that way because to start directly into that Bears game from last Thursday would just be downright depressing. I know that Thursday football exists primarily as a cash grab for the bloated cow that already is the NFL. That if you were to poll the fans, if you were to poll the players, if you were to poll the marketing executives, and basically anybody but the owners. Oh, USRN does have the call. Thank you, Taryn. USRN does have the call. I thought so. Seth Eves usually has that on Monday nights. So yeah, check out when we're done with this. Check out Seth. He really does a good job on the Monday nights. I know that Thursday Night Football exists primarily just to line the pockets of the owners. Not that they aren't full enough already. Not that the NFL doesn't just reap in money hand over fist anyway. But still, the Thursday night product is so hard to watch. I was watching that game Thursday night, and I make it a point. I typically watch a lot of football on Sundays. I'll check in on the Monday night games. I watch the Sunday night game. I usually take in a lot of football. It less than now that I'm married and a dad and everything. It's less than it used to be. It used to be that I would take in at least 4 games a week. It's now down to usually 2.5 or 3. But I always make it a point to avoid the Thursday night product. I learned that very early on, that it's just bad. And it's only there to be a cash cow. It's only there to be a cash grab. But I watch when the Bears play because, all right, I'm a Bears fan. I'm doing this show. Now I'm writing articles for Stadium Rant. I got to keep up with them. If they're playing, you got to watch. It's just duh. I was texting some of my friends on Thursday night that I knew weren't Bears fans, and it was, guys, just turn this off. Save yourselves the headache. Save yourself the hassle. Do not watch this. Just go find something, anything else to do. That was horrible. That was just brutal what they put us through. And I know that some of it's they try to line it up that they want to save the better marquee because everybody has to do Thursday night, that they try to save the better matchups for later on in the season. Basically from Thanksgiving on, that's when they want the good Thursday night games happening. That's when they want the good teams playing on Thursday night. But still, to force us to get through September and October and the first half of November, just ugh. And that game, that was so bad. You know, where to even start with that? I think the real place to start is 3 red zone trips, and the Bears came away with no points. None. You had the fluky interception where the ball bounced off of a defender's helmet and then just became a game of 500, and you just hope the ball falls in the ground. In this case, it happened to fall into the waiting arms of a defender, and it's an interception. You had the inability to gain a yard the second time around, and then you had Darnell Mooney bobbling the ball in the end zone and couldn't regain possession of it until he was back out of the end zone and finished a quarter of a yard short or whatever it was of being able to win the game. You've got to come away with points in the red zone. And I was thinking about this morning as I was preparing for the show. I was thinking about it a little bit. I don't want to be too hard on Eberflus for obviously the first drive. Okay, that was an interception. Obviously, that doesn't go according to plan. The final drive, well, clearly you have to go for it because you're down by 5 and there's only time for one more play. You're not going to be able to kick a field goal and then get the ball back and get back down. So obviously you're going for it on there. But the second trip, where they decided to hand the ball off and Khalil Herbert got stuffed short of the goal line. I don't want to be too hard. I feel like if I be too hard on Eberflus, I'd be hypocritical because I like how aggressive Eberflus has been the last 6 quarters of football. Going for 2 against the Vikings when they were down by 5 and they have an opportunity to make it a field goal game, even though it's the third quarter. I thought that was a great move. Following that up by doing an onside kick. I loved the aggression, even though neither of those moves necessarily worked in the moment. I loved the thinking, the thought process there. It's, hey, we've got the 2-point conversion in particular. I've been wishing coaches would do more of that. It's, hey, you have an opportunity right now to make this where a field goal ties it. I don't care that it's in the third quarter. You do that. You don't assume that you're going to just get the ball again and score a touchdown. You've got an opportunity right now to make it a field goal game. Make it a field goal game. And if it misses, so what? You're down. There's no difference between being down 4 or being down 5. So what? But there's a huge difference of being down 4 versus being down 3. That's a huge difference in the way you play the game and manage the game. So I love that he did that, even though it didn't work. Same thing with the onside kick against the Vikings. Your defense was getting run up and down the field in the first half. So to try and steal a possession there, catch the Vikings napping, go for it. Even though it didn't work, go for it. Try to get it. So I loved the aggression. Same here against Washington. Your 4th and goal from the 1-yard line. I love the decision to go for it, even though it failed. I love the aggressive nature, the trying to win the game and because against the Giants, he was just taking field goals. And what we kept saying is you can't trade touchdowns for field goals. It doesn't work. It catches up to you. So I love that he was going for it there. The one thing I would say, though, is, and this is where I do want to be a little critical of him, you do have to coach the game that's happening in front of you. We talked about that a lot with Nagy, that Matt Nagy was terrible about not calling the game that he was always calling the game that he wished was being played, where he had a quarterback that could execute the offense the way he wanted to, the way he was seeing it, versus, well, you have a rookie that's being integrated into the NFL. You need to adjust the way you're calling the game for him, and he wouldn't do that. And we constantly coach the game that's actually happening in front of you. I want to remind Eberflus that a little bit of it here. And here's what I mean by that in this instance of coach the game that's happening in front of you. Normally, in a normal game, yes, you cannot trade field goals for touchdowns. You need to be punching the ball. If you get in the red zone, you need to be punching it into the end zone more often than not. You can't just be satisfied with coming away with 3. Thursday was not a normal game. Washington couldn't do anything offensively. That game constantly had a feel of 1st to 17 wins. And as it turned out, they barely combined to get 17 points. They only got 19 combined between them. So in this instance, coach the game in front of you, just come away with points. In this game was kind of one of the exceptions of it's okay to just come away with points in the red zone. Because had they done that, had they taken a field goal on that second drive, then first of all, they would have had the lead 3-0, such as it was. But then you get to that end game and you're down 12-10 when Washington misses that field goal. And then when Justin Fields has that 40-yard run, you're in field goal range. Now all you need is a field goal and you've won the game. Yes, you were only getting field goals in the red zone, but that was a game where just scoring, any kind of score, was good enough in that game. So that's one thing from that. I don't want to be too critical. Again, I don't want to be too critical of Eberflus of this because I like that he was going for it. I like the aggression because overall he's right. You want to go for it on 4th and goal from the 1. You should be able to get a yard when you need to, especially with the way the Bears have been running the ball. You should be able to get that 1 when you absolutely have to have it. You should be able to get that 1 yard. Now they just need to work on the execution of everything. And that was what we saw a lot too. The Bears, now they're on a 3-game losing streak. They lost 3 games in 11 days. And when you've lost 3 in a row, you need to change some things up. I wrote about this a little bit for Stadium Rant, windycityrant.com, if you want to check that out. I have started doing some blog entries for them on windycityrant.com. It's part of the Stadium Rant network. And I brought up an item in all three phases of the game, offense, defense, and special teams, where they can look to make a change so that something improves this week. The big one that I think is the easiest to come away with is on special teams, actually. I think that's the easiest place to start. Velus Jones, you need to... I like him as a rookie, and I know that the organization is high on him because he was a third-round pick. You need to get him off of returning punts. This is twice now in 3 games that he has muffed a punt in the fourth quarter, and it has directly led to the Bears losing. Against the Giants, it took away their ability to make a drive and potentially win the game. In this game against Washington, it directly allowed Washington to score the go-ahead points. I like Jones. I do think that eventually he can be a good punt returner, but for right now, they need to go back to Dante Pettis. They need to let Jones get some more practice during the week, and then a couple weeks from now, let's see about going back to him. Still leave him on kickoffs. Still have that package for him on offense where he can contribute. But lighten his load. Take him off of punt returns for now. Defensively, the Bears have got to figure out a way to get more pressure on the quarterback. Now, some of this is they haven't earned the right to rush the passer because they struggle so much in run defense. They give up 163 yards a game on the ground. You've got to do something for that. Unfortunately, I think the way to help with that is to get the lead on offense. Just somehow try to take the lead so that other teams feel like they have to abandon the run. But then on the flip side, they have got to do more to generate a pass rush. They only have 11 sacks. We're a third of the way through the year. They only have 11 sacks to this point. You know, they're barely on pace to get 30 sacks this year as a team. Robert Quinn has 1 to this point. You know, Denard, they don't have anybody with more than 2. They've got to figure out a way to, and they're only generating pressure. I was seeing on only a little over 6% of passing plays are they actually generating pressure. That puts them right about the middle of the pack in the NFL. I think they're 14th or 15th in the league in that. So they've got to figure out some better ways to dial up pressure. I know the cover 2 doesn't like to blitz, and I know that it's a cop-out to just say blitz more. Just blitz more. Just blitz. Because it's very easy for NFL quarterbacks to diagnose and understand how to beat a blitz, but you've got to do something. You've got to shake it up somehow. I'm not saying go into full-on, like you're playing Madden, engage 8, where you're sending the house on every play, or just go crazy with it, but figure out some ways to generate some pressure defensively. Offensively, this is going to be interesting. N'Keal Harry came over from New England. Cost the Bears all of a 7th-round pick to acquire him in a trade. He practiced last week. They decided not to activate him for the game against the Commanders. Probably a smart decision. It was a short week. Didn't really have much of a chance to really install much of the game plan. Let him get healthy. And now he's got a chance to go right up against his old team, the New England Patriots. Harry immediately has the best pedigree in that wide receiver room. He's the only receiver in that room to be taken in the first round. Heck, and you could argue, all right, the Patriots overdrafted him by taking him in the first round. Fine. You want to put a second or third round grade on him? He's still the highest pedigree receiver in that room. Darnell Mooney was a fifth-round pick. Ishir Smith-Marset was a fifth or sixth round pick from Minnesota a year ago. Equimenius St. Brown was a late-round pick at Green Bay. Dante Pettis was not a first-round pick when he was with San Francisco originally. Harry may not have the production to back up where he was drafted. He still has the best pedigree of everybody in that room. And he's got size, which is something that is missing from the Bears' receiving core. 6'4" target. Let's see if having a size guy will help ease Justin Fields' mind. Man, my gosh, we're 31 minutes into the show, and I'm finally mentioning Justin Fields, and I've been doing nothing but Bears for the last 15 minutes here. We're finally talking about Justin Fields, I think. They brought up a lot in the broadcast Thursday that he was very hesitant to throw to some receivers that would be considered covered in college, but in the NFL would be considered open. And some of it, I'm willing to accept that some of it might simply be he doesn't trust them to make the catch contested, that he needs to see them be open by a step or two, an extra step or two before willing to admit that, okay, it's safe to throw the ball to this guy. Let's see if he feels that same way with Harry. Harry's a bigger target. He's a bigger guy. Let's see if that helps put Justin Fields' mind at ease and lets him start to rip a little bit and see if he can and finally start to have some success. He had some great success in the second half against Minnesota, really struggled in a lot of ways against Washington. They were able to move the ball between the 20s. They weren't able to finish a lot of drives. Let's see if adding a big target can finally help uncork this offense. We'll find out a week from tonight on Monday Night Football. Seth Eves will be on the call on USRN. We will not have a show next Monday. We'll figure out what we're going to do about a show next week. I got to look at the schedules and figure some things out. But let's see if next Monday what answers we can get against a tough opponent, a tough opponent in the Patriots. All right, we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, it's basketball season starting this week. The Bulls tip off the season on Wednesday night. We will break down this upcoming season for the Chicago Bulls. You are listening to Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Are you a fan of Buffalo sports? Are you thinking of changing loyalties and becoming a Buffalo sports fan? Do you even know where Buffalo is on the map? Did you know Canada is closer to Buffalo than New York City? Welcome to the Buffalo Huddle, every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Patty Bax. This is a podcast designed for you, the passionate sports fan. I know you love your sports. Who doesn't? I cover Buffalo sports and so much more by bringing in the human elements. I call it Buffalo Sports with a Twist. Join me as we take a journey into the world of Buffalo sports. I guarantee you'll fall in love with Buffalo just like I did. Each week we start with an inspiration, question of the day, a Buffalo fun fact, and our weekly challenge to you, the listener. Come huddle up with me every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time for the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Bax on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. As we say in Buffalo, go Bills!
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour, every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. At any time, be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly, everybody, here on IE Sports Radio. I am your host, Adam Kernick. The host of that last show, Gloves Off, Marcus Los Great. He is in the chat. Marcus, that is just the most awesome promo that you do for your show. I love using that to come back in. It just gets me ready to go every time I hear it. So hats off to you, good sir. And thank you for being here tonight, supporting the show. I appreciate it. Taryn is also in with us this evening, along with a few smattering of other people still hanging out here tonight on Monday night. So we did a lot of Bears after my personal news. We did a lot of Bears there in the first half. Now I want to switch gears. We want to talk about the Bulls. The NBA season tips off tomorrow night. There are 2 games going on tomorrow night, and then the season starts in earnest, in full, on Wednesday with a huge slate of games scheduled to happen on Wednesday night, including the Bulls tipping off and starting their season down in Miami against the Heat at 6:30 Central Time Wednesday night. Of course, for the Bulls this season, the huge starting point for talking about them is Lonzo Ball. And he's not going to be there. He had yet another that knee is still bothering him even 9 months later after the original surgery. The rehab failed. He's had a second surgery. The second surgery, they hope, has gone well, but it's still, we're talking at least another realistically, it's going to be 2023 before we see Lonzo Ball. In a perfect case scenario, somehow he comes back and we see him in December. My expectation, my thought is that we will not see Lonzo Ball again until 2023. That it'll be almost 12 months exactly that he will have taken off from appearances in a Bulls uniform in an NBA game. In the meantime, second-year point guard Ayo Dosunmu is going to step into the starting point guard role. Head coach Billy Donovan made that announcement, I want to say about a week ago. I think it was last week Wednesday that he made the announcement that Ayo Dosunmu is going to move into the starting lineup. Likes the leadership that Dosunmu brings. Brought that up specifically when talking about Ayo. Io had an incredible year last year. Certainly exceeded expectations coming out in the second round. 38th overall pick. I don't know how much he's going to start. I wonder how many minutes he's actually going to get on a nightly basis. Looking at it, I'm pulling up his stats right now. I want to see how many minutes he averaged a season ago. See how quickly I can find this. But I would not be surprised. You think of, he's the starting point guard. He's going to play significant minutes, that he's going to be out there for, 32 plus minutes a night leading the team. And certainly he's going to be out there at the end of games. I wonder if that's going to be the case for him. He averaged basically 27 and a half minutes last season. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a similar minute total to last year. If he winds up playing a little over half the game. You've got Alex Caruso back healthy. Caruso adds some veteran presence, and certainly late in games. Not that Io's defense is bad by any means, but Caruso certainly gives you that energy and that spark defensively. And I wouldn't be surprised if, certainly at the start of the season, that we see Caruso out there end of games trying to be that big defensive stopper in the backcourt for the Bulls. So nothing against Io, but I wouldn't be surprised if him being named... Oh gosh, this is completely off topic. I just saw that Io was born in the year 2000. God, that just makes me feel old. All right, we're going to move on from that. But I wouldn't be surprised if, even though he's got the title of starting point guard, and he's earned that. I don't want to take that away from the young man, that he has earned the opportunity to start at point guard for the Chicago Bulls. No small feat. Certainly comes with expectations. Derrick Rose, when you think starting point guards, Derrick Rose often pops right up when you're talking Bulls and starting point guard. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like 27 or 28 minutes a night from him, and the end of game minutes going to Caruso at the start. The other guy that's going to be huge to see what they get out of the gate is Patrick Williams. He missed so much of last year, went down almost immediately at the start of the regular season. He's now entering his third season, but in a lot of ways, Williams is a rookie still. You've got a lot of ground to catch up on for all the time he's missed with injuries. But if he can develop, if he can be the defensive presence down low and be when your shot is there, don't be afraid to take it, but the offense isn't going to revolve around you kind of scoring option, Vucevic is a liability defensively. He's starting to become he's kind of turning into a liability offensively too, but they need him for now. But if Williams can shore up the defense and give them enough offense that you don't have to think about subbing him out when you're trying to get points on the board, they could have something there. And that's key, because the pieces that the Bulls added this offseason weren't a lot to fundamentally, drastically alter who and what the team is. You're looking at 4 primary additions this offseason. Dalen Terry, 20th overall draft pick. Other additions, Goran Dragic, Andre Drummond. So 3, and Dragic and Drummond and Dragic they're there to give you some minutes off the bench, to try to give you support and give your starters a chance to breathe a little bit. Some of that could be also expecting that DeMar DeRozan is going to crash back down to earth a little bit, that he's not going to be quite as sensational as he was a season ago. All those mid-range jumpers and all those shots falling for him. Getting some help there. Hopefully you'll make up for DeRozan not being able to contribute as much as he did last year, because it feels somewhat inevitable that he's going to come back down to earth a little bit, that he's not going to be able to produce like he did a season ago. Hopefully he's able to give you even 90% of that is still going to be fantastic and amazing, and you'll take it in a heartbeat and you'll love it. You can win with it. But this is a team that's going to struggle to shoot from three. And to start the season, Zach LaVine, that's going to be your three-point shot for starting things off. He's now coming in on a max deal. There's obviously going to be pressure and expectations for him to live up to that max deal contract that he signed, $215 million. It was the right move, but he's still got to live up to it now. And he's going to be their primary three-point threat to start the season, especially without Lonzo in there. Let's see what these guys can do. They've got a tough start to the season, starting off in Miami. Kicking off the season in Miami to start off. Then they've got, some other tough games right out of the gate. I mean, 3 of their first 4 games are Heat, Cavs, and Celtics. Thank goodness they got the Wizards sandwiched in there for their second game. So that'll be a little bit of a breather coming off of the Heat game. Then the home opener against the Cavs this weekend. And then the Celtics and the Pacers. There's going to be some tough games in there. It's going to be very interesting to see what this team is coming into the season. Right now, my thoughts are they probably wind up, I hate to say it, but probably near the bottom of the playoff seeding. Probably you're talking 6, 7, so winding up in that. Hopefully they avoid the play-in tournament, but it wouldn't shock me if they're down in that area a little bit, just if for no other reason this team, at least to start, looks so very similar to last year's team, and last year's team struggled once Lonzo got hurt. Hopefully they're going to be able to recover and bounce back from that, but it's going to be a very interesting start to the season. It wouldn't shock me if they get off to a little bit of a slow start. Okay, we're going to take a really quick break. We're going to go a little over on time tonight, but that's okay because Taryn went before us, so there's nobody immediately after us. So we're going to go just a little past the hour here and put a bow on this whole thing. You are listening to Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Harrison Glazer, and we're coming at you from the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. I cover the Jets, the Islanders, the Nets, and the Yankees.
This is Pierre Moss, and I cover the Mets, Knicks, Rangers, and the Giants.
Our show is live every Wednesday through Spreaker and a bunch of other ways to get our content. Again, we're the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. We talk about all those New York sports. It's a lot of fun. We get into all of it. Please tune in. Again, that's Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
And we look forward to having you guys right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Locke.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam Kernick here with you for just a couple more minutes while we put a bow on this thing. Did a lot of football talk, did a lot of basketball talk tonight. We're going to put a bow on this and send you on your sports way this week. The Blackhawks dropped the puck on the season last week. They've been out west to start the season. They started things off, first of all, facing the defending champion Colorado Avalanche to start the season. It went about as well as could be expected. They dropped that one 5-2. Then they went to Vegas and got shut out in that one 1-0. Before they finally did get on the winning streak, got on their winning ways by beating the San Jose Sharks 5-2 over the weekend. They are now off until this Friday night. They kick off the home portion of their schedule. They've now got 4 home games coming up, and 5 of their next 6 to finish out the month of October are at home, starting with the Detroit Red Wings this Friday night. That's actually going to be the USRN Friday night hockey game of the week. There is going to be Red Wings at Blackhawks, so you can tune over to USRN and catch that game there. Matt Owens, who was on the show a week ago, is actually going to be on that call this Friday. So kudos to the Hawks for getting a win on their West Coast trip. That's 2 more points, frankly, than I expected they were going to get. They are rough this year. They are intentionally doing a teardown, and they are in the beginning stages of tearing it down. It's going to be a long season for the Hawks. We'll talk a little bit about the Hawks throughout their season, keep up with them a little bit, but don't anticipate a ton of long, lengthy in-depth segments on them this year, unfortunately. I'm disappointed about it too. I like hockey. I still enjoy the sport, even though all the bad, ugly that went on with the organization behind the scenes. I still love the sport, and it does hurt that the Blackhawks are barely worth talking about. But we'll keep our eyes open and our eyes peeled a little bit on them, but don't expect tons of stuff this season. And then our last bit before we get out of here tonight, Illinois. We talked about them last week being ranked for the first time in 11 years. They're now in the top 20. They've managed to get up into the top 20. They come in at 18 this week after a second half come from behind win this past week at home against Minnesota. They trailed very, very briefly in the second half. They trailed at one point 14-13. Mohamed Ibrahim got the Gophers started off early in the second half with a touchdown run. Tommy DeVito then answered just a couple minutes later with a touchdown run of his own, and Illinois never looked back. The Fighting Illini scored the final 13 points in that game to win 26-14 against Minnesota. And as we look at the Big Ten West standings, they sit alone atop the Big Ten West, 6-1 overall, 3-1 in the conference. The conference record does tie them with Purdue, the Boilermakers, but the Boilermakers are a game back in the overall standings. Illinois is in control of its own destiny here. Lots of excitement coming up. And you, again, as we've talked before, you look at their schedule, it's not terrible. Obviously you got to be careful. You don't want to stumble over anybody, but they've got Nebraska this week in Nebraska. Then they're home against Michigan State. The big one there is the following week, home against Purdue. If they take care of business, certainly against Nebraska and Purdue, that could set them up to have a stranglehold on the Big Ten West and put themselves in position to, dare we say it, make an appearance in the Big Ten title game. So we'll keep our eyes on that. That is going to do it for our show tonight. Want to say thank you again to all of our Patreon supporters, Bay Area Raised, MLOS Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. Thank you for continuing to support not just this show, but all of the shows on our network. Thank you to Larry B. All the hard work that he does behind the scenes, keeping this station running, participating in our NBA mock draft that we did yesterday afternoon. That was with Davidson and Mike and Taryn. That was a lot of fun, very crazy, but a lot of fun. Thank you to Taryn and Arthur, Angela, Mike, and Marcus for hopping into the chat room, and Mom, thank you, Mom, for being there in the chat room with us tonight. That was a lot of fun, and thank you for just celebrating my news with me. March 2023 is going to be crazy in our household. I cannot wait for it. Next week, of course, whenever we do go on, we're not going to be on Monday next week because obviously the Monday night game, I'm not going to try and go up against that. That's dumb. I want to be watching the game, not talking about other stuff during the game. So we'll figure out a time to have a show. We'll figure all that out at some point next week. There will be a show, so stay tuned for that. Finally, thank you for listening each and every week, whether it's live on Monday nights or later on during the week. Just thank you for making me part of your sports week. I really do appreciate it. Of course, we'll be breaking down Bears-Patriots next week. We will be discussing how the Bulls started their season. We'll keep an eye on the college sports scene. We'll see what other fun and crazy stuff pops up along the way as well. Until then, I am Adam Karnick. This is Chi-Town Weekly. We will see you next time. Bear down.